They returned from Milan, but what happened after the cameras stopped rolling is what truly set the fandom on fire. A quiet arrival, a private family moment, and suddenly, whispers began. Was Xiao Zhan welcomed into Wang Yibo's family space? No official photos, no statements, just emotion, and fans exploding. The lights of Milan had barely faded when the headlines began to shift. From runway flashes to airport shadows, from designer suits to quiet hoodies. Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo were seen departing after a packed schedule overseas. Elegant, composed, professional as always. The kind of global presence that makes international media pause. But this story isn't about fashion. It's about what happened after. Their return to China was noticeably low-key. No grand public fanfare. No extended airport stops. Just a swift, calm exit, like two stars stepping out of the spotlight on purpose. And that's when the tone changed. Reports confirmed that Wang Yibo went home to spend time with his family after the trip. A simple, human moment. A son returning home after intense schedules abroad. But in fandom culture, simplicity rarely stays simple. Because alongside that update came another detail. Xiao Zhan was still nearby. Still present. Still part of the return narrative. Not officially described as a family visit. Not framed as a private gathering. Just proximity. And for a fandom that has followed their journey for years, proximity means everything. The emotional temperature online began to rise. Not because of scandal, not because of drama, but because of warmth. Because after years of public scrutiny, separate schedules, and carefully measured appearances, the idea of something gentle, something familial, felt almost surreal. Could it be that after Milan's glamour, the real story unfolded in a quiet living room instead? And that question, that possibility became the spark. But before we talk about the explosion online, we need to understand why this moment feels different. For global fans, especially women who have followed their journey from early breakthroughs to international recognition, Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo represent more than celebrity. They represent history. They represent shared screens, shared scenes, shared glances that once captured millions of hearts. Over time, their public interactions became more restrained, professional, controlled, understandable in an industry that demands boundaries. Which is why any subtle connection today feels amplified. The Milan schedule had already been significant. High fashion, international presence, sophisticated styling, a visual statement that they're no longer just domestic stars, they're global figures. And yet, the image that stirred the deepest emotion wasn't from a runway. It was the image, unseen but imagined, of home. Wang Yibo returning to his family. The idea of warmth. Familiar meals, relaxed conversation, and Xiao Zhan existing within that timeline. Let's be clear, there were no official statements confirming a family gathering together. No photos released. No verified media report describing such an event. But the emotional narrative emerged organically among fans. Not as rumor, not as scandal, but as hope. Hope that despite distance and professionalism, there remains comfort. Hope that beyond stage lights, there's softer moments. And for many female fans who have invested years of emotional loyalty, that hope feels deeply personal. Because when you've watched two people grow separately yet parallel for so long, any intersection feels meaningful. Social media didn't erupt in chaos. It erupted in feelings. Fan edits resurfaced. Old interviews replayed. Soft background music layered over airport clips. The tone wasn't aggressive. It was sentimental, almost protective, as if the fandom collectively whispered, if there was a warm moment, let it stay warm. And that's when this story shifted from speculation to something more powerful. Emotion. There's something universally touching about family. No matter where you're watching from, Seoul, Jakarta, Paris, Los Angeles, the concept of being welcomed into someone's family space carries weight. It symbolizes trust. It symbolizes acceptance. It symbolizes closeness beyond performance. Again, no verified report confirmed Xiao Zhan attending a private family gathering. But the emotional narrative that formed around the idea revealed something deeper about the fandom itself. Why did this possibility resonate so strongly? Because after years of public distance, fans are hyper-aware of boundaries. They know the industry is complex. They know friendships and collaborations evolve. So when even the faintest image of togetherness appears, especially in a domestic, private context, it feels rare, precious, almost sacred. International female fans, many in their 20s, 30s, even 40s, expressed not hysteria, but relief. Relief that both men looked healthy. Relief that after global schedules, there was time for home. Relief that warmth might still exist behind the scenes. In fandom psychology, small details often carry emotional magnitude. A shared departure time, a coordinated return, a subtle smile, and in this case, the idea of family warmth. It wasn't about romance narratives. It wasn't about headlines. It was about stability. After the intensity of Milan's global spotlight, the grounding image of home created balance. Glamour on one side, comfort on the other. And perhaps that balance is what fans truly crave. Because idols can feel untouchable, but sons returning home? That feels human. And if another trusted presence was nearby, that feels reassuring. The online reaction wasn't explosive in a chaotic sense. It was layered. Thoughtful posts analyzing timing. Fan accounts reminding others not to spread unverified claims. Community leaders emphasizing respect for privacy. And at the same time, emotional edits flooded timelines. Soft instrumental music. Airport footage slowed down. Captions like, "Home is where the heart rests." It revealed a mature fandom dynamic. Excited but careful. Emotional but measured. There was no demand for proof. No insistence on confirmation. Just a collective emotional exhale. Because what made this moment powerful wasn't certainty. It was possibility. And possibility keeps fandom alive. In an era where every interaction is dissected, sometimes the absence of footage feels more meaningful than presence. Privacy can be its own statement. And perhaps that's why this story resonates globally. It wasn't manufactured. It wasn't scheduled. It simply emerged from timing, from return flights, from family mention, from proximity, and from years of shared history that fans have carried like a delicate thread. Milan showed them as global icons. This moment, real or imagined, reminded fans they are still human, still sons, still individuals who deserve warmth beyond flashing cameras. And in that duality, the emotional impact deepened. So what actually happened inside Wang Yibo's home? We don't know, and maybe we don't need to, because sometimes the power of a story lies not in confirmation, but in what it reveals about us. About loyalty, about hope, about the quiet desire to see people we admire surrounded by kindness. Whether Xiao Zhan shared that private space or simply remained nearby during the return timeline, one truth stands clear. The fandom reacted not with chaos, but with tenderness. And that tenderness speaks volumes. After Milan's glamour, after airport flashes, after years of evolution, the most powerful image wasn't public at all. It was the idea of warmth, of family, of rest. And maybe that's why this moment feels unforgettable. Not because it was loud, but because it was soft. So tell me, when you imagine them stepping out of the spotlight and into a quiet home filled with familiar voices, what do you feel? Comfort? Hope? Or simply gratitude that even global stars deserve a place to rest? Sometimes the sweetest chapters are the ones we never fully see. And perhaps that's what makes them shine the brightest.